Yeah, good day, class. So this is actually a beginner, an introduction to programming, rather Python programming language. So today we'll be working on how the basic, or what actually Python programming language entails, working on the basic syntax, and then do a little bit of using all these logical operators and arithmetic operators. So let's get started. So learning Python. Python is a popular programming language, you all know that, and it can be used on server to create web applications, and then it could be used for gaming, it could be used in robotics. So it's a general purpose language. So it's a popular one. So and Python can be used for web development, software development, mathematics, and system scripting. And the reason why we actually use Python will be used on server to create web application, as I've said, and then used to handle big data and perform complex mathematical operations. So, working with Python syntax compared to other programming language. So Python is, well, it was actually designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language, which influence from mathematics. I don't know if you get my point. Python was designed for readability and it has some similarities to the English language with influence from mathematics. So Python actually makes things more readable. It makes things more clearer to compare to other programming language. Python also uses new lines to complete a command, as opposed to other programming language which often uses semicolon and parentheses. So in Python we do not need to use semicolon and parentheses all the time. All we need is to use new lines to complete a command and the likes. And Python actually relies on indentation, white spaces to define scope, and such as scope of loop, function, and classes. So you might not get to understand what I mean by indentation, but when we get started, you all know what is actually meant by indentation, what I actually meant by that. So let's do a bit of simple Python syntax. For example, I actually want to tell the class a bit of Python syntax using the print function. This function is a print function, is a Python built-in function. It can be used to print out a message. So let's assume I wanted to print a message, maybe hello guys. Hello guys, which is a string. So when I run it now, it's going to print it out. The print function was the one who performed that function. As a bit, let's assume I actually let me try and modify it and give it another string, maybe you're welcome to Python class. You see how it actually works. It's it's kind of user friendly, and sorry, it skipped my mind. The interpreter we're actually using to run Python actually was Jupyter Notebook. It's a web-based interactive computing platform for running Python on the web. So before we could, I will do a video on how to do the installation for Jupyter Notebook. I think there is a video on that. The link will be sent. So initially, before you can install Jupyter Notebook, you have to have like Python installed from their website, which is python.org, installed on your Windows before you can install Jupyter Notebook. So let's get started now. Let's continue. Let's move on from there. Yeah, talking about Python indentation now. So Python indentation refers to the space at the beginning of a code line. Let's assuming I actually wanted to write a command like this. If 5 is greater than 4, the space are actually this space. Let me write it fully. And I say print. And tell it to print. Let me say that 5 is greater than 4. So this space here at the beginning here, that's what we call indentation. Python will give, let me run this now. You see now it was able to. Let's now assume that, let me duplicate this on the next cell. Let's now assume there wasn't this space. Let me run it. See now it shows up that there is it's showing up an indentation error now. Expected an indent block after if statement on line 1. So that's how Python works. Python works with indentation. If your code is not well indented, it won't run. It should keep on showing an error, which is indentation error. As I said earlier, indentation refers to the space at the beginning of a code line, which is this here, that what we actually did here. So let's move on. So let's move on to Python variable now. Python variable. Let's do a bit of declaring variable, simple variable. Let's assume I actually declare a variable of x and assign it to a value of maybe 5, and then I said y or maybe z assigned to a value of a value of which is a string. So maybe good day class. So if I run this now, so let me print the message out now. A value assigned to those variable name, print, then the variable name of x, it should print 5 out. Let me duplicate it so that I can print y too. So this is why if I run this now, see it prints out. So it prints out z. We actually use z. We actually declare variable z, not y. So z. If I run this now, see it prints out the two messages, the two value assigned to the variable name. For x now it was 5, and then for y it was good day class. So Python has no command for declaring variable. If you want to declare a variable, just give it any name and then assign it to a value. So that's a must. For you to declare a variable must be assigned to a particular value. It's an assignment operator. So let's move on. So we'll talk more on how to declare variable in our next class. This is just an introduction to Python basic syntax, as I've said earlier. So I also want to tell us about how to write comments in Python. So Python has comment capability for the purpose of in-code documentation. So just for user readability, or maybe you want other people that will be reading your code to understand what you're actually doing or what you've actually done on your code. So let's assume in Python and compared to other programming language now, Python makes use of the symbol hash, which is this. Then with whatever words you want to make or sentence you want to put, and let me just say this is my this is a code for my school. Then maybe I now print a message using the print function that hi my school. So now this comment here is actually for user readability, for people, for whosoever person that is coming to read your code to understand whatever you've written here. So if I run this now, Python will actually ignore the comment section. So Python will see that there is nothing, Python will ignore it and move to the next line, just because of this sign here, this symbol you put before your word. So let's move on now. Unless I forget, let me just tell us a bit of function of the comment. Actually, comment can be used to explain Python code. Comment can be used to prevent execution when testing code. A comment can be used to make the code more readable, as I said earlier. So let's assume someone actually wants to use your code somewhere. So person comes to your source code to be able to understand what you've actually written in your code. So putting a comment to make the code more readable. So let's move on. And also note that whatever you comment won't be executed. As I've said, Python will ignore it. So let's not get it twisted. Let's not take comments with whatever command in Python. So let's move on to like where we actually declared a variable. So it's here. So let's move on now. Let's assume I actually declared a variable of maybe y, assign it to a value of maybe 5, which is an integer. So and declare variable of z and assign it to a value of which maybe I call it maybe surely, which is a string. Now print the values out using the print function. You see now, we can also get the type. Let's assume for newbie that does not know that this is a data type of integer, which is this is an integer and this is a string. Data type of string and integer. So let's assume for newbie that does not know how to get the data type, or who haven't gone through what data type actually entails. So what you can do now, like, let's know this. Let's assume I want to get the data type. I want to know maybe this 5 is an integer. So from here now, what I will just do now, let me copy this. want to get the data type of y. So just write your print function to your parentheses. So there is a type function just to get the type function actually helps you to get the data type of whatever value you assign to a variable. So it's actually y now that is the variable name that you are going to put inside these parentheses. When I run this now, Python is going to tell me if the value assigned to y is a string or an integer or a float or a boolean. So if I run this now, you see Python tells me that it's an integer. So the value assigned to y is an integer. Let me do for z2 now. Z now print using the print function, then with the type method or function rather, then with the z. So if I run it now, you see Python tells me that the value assigned to z is a string. It's going to shorten it with str. So for integer now, it actually wrote int. So those are data types. There are a lot of data types in Python. So and we can make conversion also in Python from one data type to another. Let's assume the value assigned to y now. I want to change it to a decimal number. So in Python, there's nothing like decimal numbers or whatever. In Python, what they call this kind of number is floating point number. We call it float. If I run it now, because I make changes to y, the value of y, see Python tells me that it's a float. It's a floating point number. It's a float data type. Any decimal number in Python, just like in mathematics, any decimal number, you see maybe 3.7, those are decimal numbers. So in Python, it's being called float. So note that. And in Python, you can make conversions from one data type to another. Let's assume I want to make conversion of y. Maybe let's say maybe y equals to maybe 44.3. I want to make a conversion to string. I want to convert it to a string. So using the str function. So what I will just do now is to just print, use the print function, then the str, which you take a parenthesis, then the variable name assigned to that value I want to make conversion to, which is y. So if I run it now, Python is going to convert from this integer or from the floating point number it was to a string, because that was what I gave it here. I wanted to convert it to a string. So if I get the type of this number now, let me get the type now by putting the type method, type a closing bracket here, yes. So if I run it now, you see Python tells me now that this value here is a string, is no more an integer. Initially, let me comment this. Initially, let me print the type out with what we've done here earlier. Print initially without making any conversion. If we were to get the type of value assigned to variable name y, it's an integer, or it's a float rather. It's a float. So you see now, but when we actually made a conversion, we wanted it to change this floating point number to print it out in a string, to convert it to a string. That was what we did here. You can also do it in two ways. You can make the conversion from here by putting the str function here, parentheses, like this. And if I run this now, see, it tells me the floating point number, which is float 4.7, has been converted to string the same way we did here. So I actually put everything inside here, not this way I did it here. So there are different ways to things, depending on, it's just for you to understand the basic syntax. So that will be the end of today's class. So if you have any question, feel free to call in to ask me in the comment section. So we'll meet in the next class.